Education, Laurie Kilmartin.
Let's do a podcast, Laurie Kilmartin.
Yay. All right.
We're
getting ahead of the game.
Head of the game. Here's number one. I'm Jackie Cation. You're Laurie Kilmartin.
Oh, you know we have to eat a lot of time if we're introducing ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. How did you start doing stand-up? How did it happen? No, I'm kidding.
No! Oh, my God.
What did you get bit by the comedy bug? Is that what happened?
Hey, I do a podcast on trauma. We'd love to. No! Please.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to lean in. No mas. Anyway, so I'm up Visalia area. I went on 2 errands that were pointless, and I was so full of rage. I took myself to a fast food place I've never been. Hi, I might have a problem. I have never been to a Jack in the Box.
What?
Oh, that's not traditionally one of my favorites either. And yet,
that is my favorite.
Here you are drinking from a J and the B.
J and the B, and I got a spicy chicken fried sandwich, and quite honestly, it was delicious. So well played, Jack in the Box, with your weird $11 for a sandwich and a Coke and a soda pop.
Yeah. I'm surprised, it's called Jack in the Box. Your name is Jackie. I'm surprised you have no loyalty to any sort of name similarity.
I should have just totally gone off to it. And then I went to the comic book store in Visalia and bought a bag of bags, and they asked me if I wanted a bag for my bag of bags. And then we said together, when will it stop? So I did not, because I brought a bunch of comic books up here because we're moving my mom-in-law, and not this weekend though, because this weekend is Memorial Day.
Yes.
And so we decided not to move her this weekend, but next weekend.
Okay.
Her house was on the market for 2 days. We have 4 offers.
Fuck.
And
wow. Do you have letters from people?
And everything, like a stack. Like one thing's already almost in escrow. It might be done.
Were they cash offers or what was it? Fuck.
Not
are they
entirely,
real people or they're not?
They're
are
real
they
people with like a giant pile of money down, and then they have financing already.
Wow.
So, and slightly above what we asked, or she
asked.
Wow. It's her house, Laurie. Anyway, so and.
No, Jackie, it's your house. It's your podcast. I know how you are.
Right, exactly. What happened? I have a podcast. I have a house. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's no disrespect to Visalia, but the fact that you would have more than one offer, still, I can't get over it.
Right, and 2 days on the market, 4 offers.
Oh my God!
With financing. One
she
family
stage
was
it
from San Diego. No,
San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Because that's where you want to move. You want to move to Exeter from San Diego.
Damn.
You think to yourself, I need more orange trees.
Where is jarring.
That would be jarring. So
because you are leaving, you're leaving that ocean breeze, and you're headed right to the Central Valley. Oh my God.
Yeah, but she does have a nice koi pond in her backyard.
Okay.
It's very pretty. And the yard is big, and she's got a really nice. It's actually a gorgeous house, and it's all one level, so it's good for older people. It's good for young families, So it's essentially 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2.5
Jackie,
bath.
can I make a bid on it? You've sold me. Come on. Well, maybe you guys could get a koi pond at your house if your mom-in-law is good at tending.
Right. Maybe if we buy the house next to us, or we just build up, like put it on the roof.
Could you put it in the front yard? A little koi pond? Yeah.
No, Andy spent 3 months putting in a rock garden. Do you remember that rock thing
right.
he built?
Yeah.
So, and he put that in himself. So, and the maintenance on that, a big fat 0. Big fan of it. Big fan of it.
True.
And the fish have to be fed every day, and
yeah. Well, I mean, you already
2 dogs and a cat, so
yeah, you have daily feeding obligations already. So what's the big deal? You become a farmer, Jackie. You have animals. You have a little orchard in the back.
Yep. Yeah, we got a fig tree and tomatoes, and
you are your Armenian ancestors' wildest dreams come true. Is that you've recreated their life in Van Nuys.
So I have a new. So I just essentially this week, Ophira was on James Corden.
Oh my God, I haven't watched it yet. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, I'll watch it.
And because we're doing this on the Wednesday, and she was on the Tuesday episode,
Yeah.
and I got to see her work on it on at Flappers, and then Monday night I went to Hot Tub to watch her work on it, and they put me up. Hello,
Jackie, you're shameless. You're shameless.
Without any, absolutely.
You're jumping in on threads about us doing a show. Oh, by the way, if you guys have a spot for me tonight? It's like, hey, could we just line up this one show, please, at Flappers? And you could worry about your spot later.
I am trying to bank some spots because I'm here for the week. I'm up here in Exeter for the week. So I did 5 shows in just a couple of days, which is a lot for LA. And then I have 2 sets at the Improv on Saturday of this week. And cool. And that's good. And Jan Karam was looking for someone to sub her out on Friday, but I couldn't do it. And you're flying. You have a life to lead. So, yes. But what I am saying is that I have this new bit that I've only tried it once in those 5 sets, and I can't believe I keep forgetting. It's kind of awesome. It's because I have 3 new bits.
It's so exciting. I have new things too. And I had a little chunk about the MSNBC thing, but then I ended up making a video, which thank you for looking at it in your notes. Yeah. And so I cut it up into 6 little pieces and threw them all up everywhere. Then I linked to I put the full 4 minutes, 4:15 on my YouTube page, but that's it. And then I thought, well, those jokes are kind of done now. They're on. I don't think I need to develop this as a bit, really. Right.
It was because you'd have to explain it, and the 4-minute chunk that you did, there were at least I would say 6 great jokes.
Thank you.
Which I was wondering as I was saying that, I'm like, which does she want to hear? 9? What does she want to hear? But I thought that for reals there were 6. And
am I that vain and needy?
I was worried. I thought, yes, aren't we all? But I was hoping that you would get that as a compliment, and you did.
Yes.
And so let's unpack it. Let's go meta on that tiny conversation I had in my own head.
On days like this, all conversations must be recorded. They can't exist in your head because it's only
might as well run them. We're doing 2 episodes, so
we'll do another one tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
we need to get ahead because I'm going underground for a little bit, and I don't want to podcast.
Right.
My son's out of school. We're gonna just hunker down and have some mom-son fun. That'll
be sweet.
Yeah. So it's weird, there's comedy is, except when there's a mass shooting, comedy seems to be the only thing that dominates Twitter. Almost every day there's some new, Ricky Gervais.
Weird. Is it just because we're comics, or do you think this is all over Twitter?
You know what? That's a good question. Maybe that's what Twitter's giving me because that's what I read obsessively. But it seems, but all the people I follow were also, maybe we're all just one group of psychopaths that are obsessed with something. But then there are national, the Mulaney thing, which was an endless thing until this last mass shooting was somebody wrote an article about Mulaney. We thought he was a god. We thought he was Brian Regan. You're like, he's not Brian Regan. He is his own person. It's he doesn't understand his fans, and I don't know. It's weird because I was reading one thread and somebody had seen him live recently, and he had said being likable is a prison. He had just sort of riffed that, I guess, and I was like, that's interesting. Maybe he doesn't like how he's perceived.
Right, and he is perceived as much more likable than I think he is. I mean, he's not a bad guy. He just isn't a perfect guy, right?
He's as likable as any comedian. And you and I are fundamentally unlikable at times. I mean, we're all sort of
Hit and miss.
Unlikable.
It turns out the word that people should be looking for is human. Because we are humans and flawed.
Somewhat likable, I think, is good enough for any stand-up comic, right?
Right. People always say how nice I am, and I was like, mostly. Not entirely.
To your credit, I've never said that about you. I think better of you than to tell people how nice you are.
Oh my God. The fact that Kyle wasn't paying attention enough to laugh at that really hurt my feelings.
It's a hit too true. I got too emotional. I was not expecting the reaction that I had, I'll be honest.
He's doing gummies. He's already taken 20% off of his purchase.
Entry level gummies.
But it's kind of funny because John Mulaney from this. I mean, I've worked with him. I know him. He's very nice.
You've known him for a decade, right?
I used to do these Best Week Ever tours with him. Yeah. So he's a very nice guy, but he's always been very upfront about being an alcoholic and an addict, and people who. This is my theory, having not been either one of those things. But if you get to the point where you hit bottom and to a point where it makes you realize you're an addict, you've done some really bad shit, right? Right. No one would admit that to themselves unless they did something really shitty and were like, I can't keep doing this. Yeah. So I always assume anyone who, is honest about themselves and says that is like, yeah, there's some skeletons, and you may have already taken them out of your closet when you're doing your amends or whatever. Mm-hmm. But you're not. Whatever people projected on him, it was. I think
that's on, and that is on them.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. But I also think it must be. It's a burden on him as well to have these people thinking, "Oh, you're so great, you're so nice, you're so this," and you're like. No, not only am I not, but I've told you I'm not. I've mentioned it many times.
Bamford's doing a bit about that and about how she's like, she has to talk about everything. And it's a great way to troubleshoot anyone saying, you didn't tell me that. Because she's like, yes, I did. Yes, I did. And so, and the thing, he's, in the 11th hour, he's just a guy, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. He's a very good comic, or at least the probably the hour that over the last 10 years that I've heard of him, it's made me laugh out loud. It's because it's smart and it's self-deprecating, mm-hmm. and it can be, but it's not. It literally isn't. It isn't like socio-political or anything. Like, it's not changing the world. You're getting a phone call.
Hold on. Wait, the horses in the hospital was...
I'm sorry, are you a spy? The horse is in the hospital.
Okay, I just have to turn this off. No, he had a very famous bit about this, a horse loose in the hospital. Okay. And it was an analogy to Trump, but without mentioning Trump. And it's incredible. Okay. And it's like one of the greatest pieces of political material I've ever heard, honestly. Okay.
Yeah. So, see, I've never heard that. And that is socio-political without mentioning.
Yeah, but it's not banging it on the head. You know what I mean? So he's a great comic. And it's just interesting how, I don't know, how people needed... But then I was thinking, like, if you are to the level where you're a stadium comic or a theater comic, is it because people believe something about you? And they believe it so much they're going to pay $50 to come see you, And so
75.
Yeah. I mean, Ali Wong, people, they have something very invested in her. And I actually don't even think her divorce is going to hurt her fan base, because she's always been sort of like, I hate this. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just, and same with Amy Schumer. She has they're very invested in her whole life. Mm-hmm. And I think it must be weird to have people like really interested in your entire life. And
it's the same problem with Dork Forest. Anyway.
But I'm sure you do, actually. I'm sure you have people that know. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. A lot, and you're like, I guess I've let all that out.
I think one of my brothers said, this is 10 years ago or whatever, did you know that you had a Wikipedia page? And I was like, what? And I looked at my Wikipedia page, and whoever set it up had gleaned like the name of my stepmother and my siblings and all of these. There's all this personal information. And I was like, someone has paid attention with a notebook and then knows how to edit Wikipedia. And it's not my dad. I mean, he's not creating Wikipedia entries.
Well, yeah. I mean, and the thing that's fun about comedy, especially when you're first started, is you can completely make up your life, right?
Yeah.
Like you can tell people you have a kid and not have a kid. They're not going to check. Like your setup can be a total lie, or it can be the truth. But it's up to you. And then when people start, if you get a little more famous, people start to go, they know what's true and what's not, you know?
Yeah, they do.
So it actually affects what you write as a comic, which, you know, maybe you start to chafe at that a little bit, you know?
Yeah. I mean, plus if he's not doing drugs and drinking and all these things, which are literally medication, right? Mm-hmm. You're self-medicating your mind and your stuff, and you're feeling every single emotion, whether it's a good one or a bad one. You're not going to be super patient with people being mad at you. You're just going to be like, well, so sad, too bad. I gotta, that's on you. I hope you, why don't you fuck off or whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I am sympathetic, or am I supportive? I forget what it is, but one of those things. I'm one of those things, but not the other, because I don't particularly care. Like I've met him probably a handful of times, and he's never been anything but distantly polite to me, which is genuinely all I ask of the famous. Mm-hmm. More than that feels like kind of a commitment on my part, and I don't have time.
The other thing, it's like how I feel like a lot of comedy fans don't get is that all of us, we mostly know each other a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd say up until a couple years ago, if you're doing a live show and one of the most famous comics in the world wanted to do a guest set, you could count on your audience being deliriously happy and thinking they got twice the money, twice the value for their ticket.
Robin Williams dropped in on a show at Acme a couple of times, and it was amazing.
Right.
And people lost their minds.
So it's always been, if you're a comic and someone famous wants to jump on, it's like, this only makes me look good because I was at the Jackie Cation show and fucking Robin Williams showed up.
You can't even stop the feature from doing their own act, much less someone famous.
Oh, right? Exactly.
I mean, you're just like, whoever's going up before you, that's their 20 to 30.
Exactly.
So, unless you want to micromanage that, unless you want to be a puppeteer, little Karl Rove in the background, you can't stop them from doing whatever they want during their time on stage.
True. I mean, you can micromanage when you hire the person, when you obviously, but yeah, it's just a weird. Yeah, again, I don't know much about how close of friends they are or what. Yeah. Or sometimes
they're both New York guys, though, aren't they?
I think they're both from DC, actually. Chappelle's from DC, and I think started comedy in DC, and so did Mulaney. Although not at the same time, obviously. But here's the thing: like, we have these weird connections with comics, and it'll be people whose act you haven't seen in 10 years. And maybe don't care to for another 10 years, right? But you're still friends, and you still have this weird profession in common. So you just kind of like go
your
with
work friends. Yeah, your work friends, and you're like, sure, you could do a set.
Yeah.
Because swear to God, if I was doing a show and Aparna Nancherla showed up and wanted to go up, I'd be like, of course.
Yes. Of course, yeah.
And she's
Aparna who pisses off everybody nonstop.
Right. Oh my God, she is edgy as all hell. You know what
she is, but nice. She is. But I mean, she is edgy in her own way, and she's very funny. But I mean, in a what I think is a recent development for Chappelle is that he is angering a lot of people, and it's just a weird dynamic that I don't think comics who let famous people jump on a show have ever even had to think of. You're always just like, this is cool.
Right. You should, like, his last big, because he's got this hill that he's dying on right now, that he's decided that he's going to stick a flag in the ground. But previously it was literally, he was just talking about racial justice. If it got if it got sociopolitical, it was about race. And it made it came from a more, I think, more of his like, it wasn't gonna, like, if he was opening for me, I'm a middle-aged white lady, he should talk about that instead of me, right? Mm-hmm. But if he wanted to get up and talk about being a middle-aged white lady, that'd be weird. But he could. Yeah. It's I you know what, I've talked myself into a corner. I don't know. I don't know where that actual conversation goes to, but we've got time. Hey, you want to take a break? No, I don't think we're anywhere near 30.
It got me so excited. No, it's it's just times are changing. I'm sure he was really shocked by all the backlash, you know.
Yeah, I just did Jeff Cesario's podcast.
Yeah, I saw the clip of it on Twitter.
Yeah, it was something about my dad, right? It was that he put, whatever. But but he, for some reason, has tagged Adam Carolla with it too.
I saw that.
And I was like, Adam Carolla wasn't anywhere near any of this. I don't know what the hell. And so one of my fans piped up and he goes, Adam Carolla? No, thank you. And I was like, I don't even know. I couldn't pick Adam Carolla out of a lineup.
I mean, yeah.
Does he look like Jeff Garland?
No, he's he's tall and skinny. Okay. Adam Carolla, like, you don't know. He kind of looks like Tony Kameen a little bit, actually.
And that's that. And see, I hear the name Tony Kameen, and I get a warm, fuzzy feeling because I like Tony Kameen. Yeah. Tony Kameen's a delight.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. People are, but association via tag or, or someone else. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. Yeah.
It's such a monumental effort to do your act the way you want to do it that to, then have to be concerned about other people, what they're doing it's a lot, I guess. But
right.
Whatever,
but
I don't know.
The interesting thing about Cesario, because, so two funny things. I'm hanging out with Ophira a bunch this week because she did James Corden. And we were talking about writers, like being a writer. And she was like, why did you never try to get in the writer's room? And I said, I'm thinking about doing it now. And I just threw it out there like that. And we both laughed and laughed. And I said, God, I want to say that to Laurie and just watch her head explode. And I think I might do it now. And, and then Cesario asked me the same thing. And I told him the reason why I never wanted to do it back when I first moved to LA, which was I always pictured writer rooms for sitcoms or even panel, like even the big shows, as being trapped in a room for 10 to 14 hours telling fisting jokes until someone said something funny. And I wanted there to be a HEPA filter without knowing what a HEPA filter was at 2000. And and Jeff goes, and Jeff said something interesting because Cesario, he's from Wisconsin, right? I've known Cesario almost since 90, I think I've known him. And he was like, I think that is less true now.
It's way less true now, but you were right when you started.
Right. He said that he thinks the writers' rooms have changed kind of fundamentally, that civilization has moved the writers' room forward a great deal kind of quickly. And it can still be grim, but it's not, for the most part, it's just good times.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, now it's just finding a writer's room that you can get staffed on.
Right. Now it's just getting in the union and getting that job. So, or just getting that job that's a union job.
Yeah, there's not many late night shows, right? Mm-hmm. Corden's ending, and it might not be replaced with another late night show.
Right. Because
yeah. So, and then the problem with like streamers have made seasons so short that you could be like, they have 10 or 12 week rooms, which is not even enough time to sometimes get health insurance or join the guild. I mean, it's just like, it's a huge new problem is what streamers have done to seasons.
Weird.
And there's just not that many. CBS did not buy any half-hour comedies, I think, this year. Like, it seems like network TV, I mean, ABC's a little different, but they love their hour-long comedy or cop dramas, some kind of procedural where a problem is solved by the end of the hour. They just love it.
They're just bigger than, though I do actually know one sitcom that is on CBS that was that remake of the UK show Ghosts.
Yeah, I think they
That's
kept that
on
one,
CBS.
but they didn't buy any new ones, I think.
Oh, I thought this was the first one, but the first year. By the way, I am watching a television show. We might be watching it together. Are you watching the Julia Child thing on HBO
I started
Max?
it. I got to download a bunch of those. Yeah, I will. Yes.
Because
I started it.
The woman who is playing Julia Child is having the time of her life.
Sarah Lancaster.
Yeah. She is just
Lancashire?
like, don't know, British, big deal.
She's played a detective, and I can't remember the name of it. She was in a great British detective show. Was she with? No, I'm thinking of the other lady who played Queen Elizabeth recently in The Crown. Olivia.
Different actress. Okay.
Whatever. But yeah, if you look up her IMDb, it's Lancaster or Lancashire, Sarah Lancashire. Okay. You'll find it. It's really great, and you'll love it. I promise you.
Okay. Oh, Maria Bamford's giving me a call. So sad.
Oh my goodness.
Look at the size of her face.
It is, and wow. Do you need to take it? I mean,
we got time.
I understand my importance in your life. I don't demand to be the top rung on the Jackie-cation ladder ever, okay?
Oh, no. Well, I know that I will never supplant Cheryl, so why don't we talk about that? Well, Maria's on her way to Vancouver.
Oh, so neat.
I think she's doing some JFL thing.
That's where Cheryl is right now. So, heck yeah. What if they have lunch and talk about us? What if they become a podcast? Oh my God, that would be great.
Oh my God, that'd be so great if they became friends.
That would be a great podcast. Oh my God. What, Kyle?
I said, do they need a producer?
He's trying to move on so hard.
No, do
Kyle.
both. Market cornered.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I have some work. I feel like I don't have any work, but that is patently untrue. I do have, the San Francisco week is solid, end of August, punchline. And that is good. And yeah, I just have a lot of work here, a lot of tasks.
Yeah. In the unpaid tasks at home.
Right. They'll pay a different dividend, a family dividend. And so, oh well. Yeah. I get to drive my mother-in-law's car, though. She has a very nice Ford Escape, which is some sort of SUV kind of.
Oh, you guys are adding a car to the family down here?
Yep. Yeah. Well,
nice.
A car.
That's good. That's very good.
It has like 12 miles on it, of course. And
that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been always sort of trying to hustle for a ride, different places. Now it seems like you'll be in good shape. That's cool.
Because like 3 or 4 years ago, Andy was he gave his car to our nephew, and I think he actually made him pay for it, so didn't give it to him. But so we were on one car, and Andy had a spreadsheet, his Lyft making it worthwhile kind of thing. And it turns out since Lyft has gone up so much, I've taken to just renting a car. But it's also very hard to rent a car now because they're running out of cars.
Fuck.
Because the rental companies are selling their cars as used cars because there's more money in it, I assume.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all this like convenience had to go belly up at some point. You know, you can't remember early on in Uber and Lyft, it was like $3 to go. Mm-hmm. It's like this can't be sustained, and they have never made money, and now they're falling apart.
This is exactly what the landed gentry said about serfdom. It did take 300 years, but things move faster now because of the internet.
Yes.
Anyway. That was a fun analogy for me to make.
I know. It sounds like you are reading a book that triggered all of my sentence triggered all of your historical points.
Okay, so I finished reading this this book. Richard Osman, who I've talked about on this show before, is a funny comic out of the UK. He wrote his first fictional novel, and it is huge. Like I think they're making a movie out of it, and he now has 3. The second one's published. The third one comes out next year.
Same characters?
Same characters. It is a murder mystery, British murder mystery set at a retirement home in England, and in Kent, I believe. And so it's these 4 retirees, these 4 pensioners, and they solve crimes. And it is adorable. It is written with so much heart that I gave it to Chris, my mother-in-law, and I gave it to Andy, and Andy's slow reading it, but I also bought it on Audible because of the drive to LA. I just wanted to listen to it again. And
okay.
And at the end of the Audible, it's called the Thursday Murder Club. And at the end of the Audible, there is like a 30-40 minute interview with him, with one of his favorite authors interviewing him. And she talks to him about how it's his first book he's ever written. He's a TV writer in the UK, so he's written fiction before. He's written scripts and stuff. But and he's a comic, so he's written stand-up. But it was his first book, and he talks about the creation of the characters and all this stuff, and it makes me want to write this novel that I'm sure I could write if I ever got my shit together. If I ever just sat down and wrote it, right? And but I love part of it, he said, is he visited a retirement community in England, and he was like, and he met a pile of 70-year-olds, and he was like, you ever want to feel like Brad Pitt? Go to a retirement home and sit with your grandmother, and meet all of her friends who think that you're the best thing since sliced bread. And, but that's what inspired him, because he was talking to these people, and they all had these amazing jobs with these amazing secrets. Like, one of the characters of the book clearly worked for like MI6. Like, she lets drop different stuff. She's like, well, when I was in Warsaw in the 80s. What? And so it's like that. And
cool.
And it's it'll be fun for your vacation. You might like that one, Thursday Murder Club.
Oh, okay.
It might be good for the plane.
I do have I have so many books to read. I'm reading Wonder Dave from San Francisco. Gave me Why We Swim by Bonnie Soooooo. And that's good. It's not a novel, and it's sort of her exploration of swimming on many levels, which I enjoy. She's more of an ocean lady, not a, me. I love my lines on the bottom of the pool. Mm-hmm. But I'm only halfway done, and who knows, maybe she'll get to
maybe she'll start doing
get laps. To walls. But just about how there's so many pools in Iceland, and how it's a culture where they learn to swim. And there's some guy who his boat capsized, a fisherman, an Icelandic fisherman, and he's still alive. He's like a national hero, and he swam like 30 hours in freezing water that would have killed most people. And they kind of studied him and found he had something in his DNA that allowed him to just be okay in that situation. So
and
it's cool.
200 years of living in Iceland, his family. That was the DNA. Hey, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
And let's do the comic of the week. You got one.
Oh, yes. Our comic of the week is a Bianca Cristovao, Bianca, Bianca. And then Cristovao is Cristovao. She's very funny. She's Czech and black.
Okay.
But I don't
and lives in America, or lives...
Yeah. She's raised in Czechoslovakia, I think.
Oh, awesome. Wow. So
yeah.
Guess what? I want to hear what she talks about. Who doesn't want to hear that set?
I know.
Right?
She's very funny. And I've worked with her a couple times, and I just worked with her in Venice at this outdoor, it's like a sunglasses store called Gooder, and they have an outdoor space, a classic LA. They have an outdoor space in the back of the sunglasses store, and they have risers, so they put a bunch of people in it, and it was a really fun show.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and she's very funny. I've worked with her a couple times, and I was like, I had written her name down before, and then I always can't find the names I write down. So
right.
I was like,
Bianca
Cristovao. 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 I'm looking because VAO seems like kind of like a Portuguese. You know what I mean? That AO, but I don't know. I'm not really. I'm not a linguist. Anyway, she's super funny, though. Check her out.
For some reason, I want to bring up a Portuguese sausage. My favorite Portuguese sausage, linguiça. Anyway.
So she's at Bianca Cristovao. That's her ad on Twitter. So find her. Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. Looking forward to that. Other than that, so it's Memorial Day weekend. Mm-hmm. We don't have any sort of plans except for to just keep packing up the house and stuff and loading stuff at a pace. Though I do have 2 sets on Saturday, which is good. And one of them is a 20-minute set at the lab.
Oh, nice.
Which I should be able to get to try all of my new stuff while still bookending it with stuff that works. And
yes.
And then I think I just have a 10-minute set at the 7:30, 8:30, 8 o'clock show in the main room.
Yeah, I'm shutting it down for 2 weeks and taking a break. Taking a little mental health break with my. Maybe
you could pick. What I want to hear 2 weeks from now is the weird places that you picked up a set. In the 2 weeks.
I am forbidding myself, but I will bring one show outfit just in case. I mean,
yes, the just in case outfit.
On the way, I'm not gonna Jackie-cation it where I make a reservation at a restaurant and then ask the hostess if I can do a set at the open mic in the back.
That wasn't my fault. That was Will Durst. That was the fact that I picked up a set in Paris. The last time I traveled and I picked up a set. That was, but I did do a destination one, which was supposed to be a holiday, but I did pick up a destination one in Hanoi 4 years ago. So, and one time we were on the coast, sort of toward Morro Bay, and we went to dinner at this place, and the Double Clicks were playing with Joseph Scrimshaw.
Oh wow!
And so I picked up a set after dinner. Because I was like, wait, there's comedy here?
Oh my God, what a nightmare. You can't get away from comedy.
Nope. The food was great, though. It was a nice seafood joint.
Wouldn't that be? It sounds good. And the double clicks are great. But say you quit comedy and then you just kept running into it every time you went out. I mean,
that's
nightmare.
The novel. Sam Talent should actually write that novel. But with the one where you think you're quitting. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, everywhere you go, you're like, "Oh, I was just going to go to this Target. Oh, weird! This Starbucks at this Target has a stand-up show." And they're like, "Do you want $250 to close?" Okay, and it could be like a children's book.
Yeah, it definitely is a fiction that you'd get $250 to close at a Starbucks. So you're already in the right wheelhouse.
When I first moved to LA, there were all these great Borders. Remember the Borders bookstore chain?
Yes, I loved Borders.
Oh, you would always get free coffee and like a $25 or $50.
Oh yeah.
Jackie Woolner ran that one.
I don't think I worked one in LA, but there was one in Emeryville that I worked. Same deal. In fact, I did it with Aisha Tyler. This is like a long time ago, obviously.
Oh, but, God, I love Aisha Tyler. I haven't. Yeah. She's directing now. I haven't seen her do stand-up in a while, and she wrote a book, but she's directing, is what I heard. Wow. Yeah.
I know, and it's like she's doing that. Sarah Silverman has a play on Broadway, right? A musical about, I think it's called Bedwetter, based on her memoir. But here's the thing, Jackie, we're all in the same age range of these ladies, but because we haven't had the same success where we're like, I'm done. I've done everything I can in stand up. Now what? You and I are still like, can I get a spot on Friday? I mean, it drives me nuts. What else do we have in us that we're not doing because we haven't had the amount of success we want in stand up? You know what I mean?
You know, that's interesting because I was talking to Cesario about other stuff, right? I was talking to him about writer's room and writing a novel and all that stuff. But there was, as I was talking to him about this other stuff, I was like, but quite honestly, I want to do, I think, you know, for me, after I do a new album and I have to write all this new stuff, there's this part where I'm like, am I done with stand-up? Am I ever going to write anything? It's a weird feeling of it's almost depression, right?
Right.
And then I write a new 10 minutes or a new 7 minutes, or what is really, if I'm not lying to myself, 3 7-minute bits that will be a new 7 minutes. You know, essentially they will eventually be 3 3-minute bits. So yeah,
right.
And then I feel like all I want to do is stand up. I don't want to write a great American novel. I don't want to, you know, fly to the moon. I just want to do stand up. And I'm like, hey, I got to call Jared at the Comedy Attic. And, you know, because I'm due. And I am really looking forward to it. Yeah.
It's the most fun for sure. But also, it's like, am I going to go my whole life primarily being a stand-up? Is that, I mean, and is that bad? Or is that, I don't know, is that a win?
I think it is. When you think about Marilyn Rice Cub, right? Mm-hmm. She was one of the quintessential alt comics in the middle 90s. Mm-hmm. Did she come down from the Bay Area? She was Bay Area, right? No. Okay.
No. Okay,
so she must have met Kilgariff when they did the Girls Guitar Club.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when they met, but yeah.
Right, because it must have been here because Kilgariff came from the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And they ended up having a duo that was a couple of guitars. And it was super alty and they were super funny. But I remember when I met them in 97, and then when I think it was in 2000 or 99, like 2 or 3 years later, I was hanging out and they were there and they looked at each other and they looked at me and they said, "Are you still doing the road?" And I said, "It is my primary. Yes, I am." And they're like, "That's so cool that you do the road." And they were super supportive about it. It was very beautiful. But they were also like, "I don't think I could do it." And the fact that Mary Lynn got that job on 24, Kiefer Sutherland,
Chloe,
Kill Machine thing. And then it ended and she still acts, but she's turned herself into really a road comic.
I know she is on the road right now. Yeah.
She's on the road so much right now. And I talked to her about it very briefly, probably 6 months ago or something. And she was like, "It's weird doing the road, but I kind of love it. And it's like a different skill set." And she went the different way, right? Like one would imagine you would do stand up and then get into acting or writing or producing or whatever the other angle. So it's kind of interesting. There's no end to that story. Yeah.
Well, the end will be when we're in our 80s and dying. That's the end. We'll see how we went. If we did anything else or if we just stayed stand-ups. I mean, it's weird. I was thinking my son, and this is with a lot of comedy kids, their lives have been articulated on stage by somebody else, right? Like Gaffigan's kids exist as fiction and is on stage. Ted Alexandro, Ali Wong, Kira Sultanovich, me. Like what are we telling the truth? Are we not? It's who knows. It doesn't matter.
Famous for me, that Bill Dwyer with his joke about how he has 3 good-looking kids, but he has 4 kids.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's like it's so. I was thinking. So my son, he has that like sort of biography of him written by somebody else. And then if he were to date a comic, because he's used to being with having a mom that goes out at night or goes on the road, so he's kind of used to it. So it wouldn't be a shock for him if he was dating like a female comic and she was just young. I'm going to be working on New Year's Eve. Like He would get it.
Right. He would get it.
He'd actually be a good comedy spouse. I don't know why I'm pitching this, because I don't want another fucking comedian on my family.
And she's just gonna take your sets. Like
she is.
She's like that. You don't need the competition. But it's interesting about Julia Child show on HBO,
right?
Because her husband, and I know that this is fictionalized and all this stuff, but her husband was a diplomat, and he was aged out of it, and now she is 60, starting this second career of having this cooking show on WGBH in Boston.
She was 60 when that started?
Late 50s.
Wow,
50s. She might have been 60. Yeah. And but he is incredibly supportive. And there's machinations, of course, because it's 1967 or whatever, or 1970. And so the expectations it's so interesting to me, because he feels like a really good comedy spouse.
Yeah, the episode I saw, I agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there is an adjustment that is being made. Like, I'm 5 episodes into the 8 episodes of this season, right? Mm-hmm. And there are adjustments that you would have to make, and that you do have to make. If your partner travels a lot, if your partner, spends a lot of time out. I mean, Mike Pence just doesn't have, dinner with women, but he travels.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I did that because I saw the chat. We have to take a break. I just did a weird Mike Pence moment.
Okay.
All right. That was that break. Sure
Jackie
was.
with her weird Mike Pence moments.
I didn't know how to. I just like, we need a smash cut here. It's gonna be, it's gonna be a Mike Pence moment. It took me. My son helped me download. Mediaite is the site that clipped the Fox News segment, right?
Right. And they're such little trolls. Those fucking Mediaite writers. All they do, they clip stuff and then they write a headline they get you to click and all this kind of shit, right? So then my son figured out how to grab it. They also make it really hard to take the video. Mm-hmm. You can't download it easily, but my son figured it out. And then I was cutting it up and writing. I did a dummy track where I just did the jokes with my glasses on and no makeup in my pajamas, and I kind of just sat on it for a couple days, and then I re-recorded everything with makeup on and stuff like that. It took a lot longer than it probably looks like it took. And there's a lot of just boring shit, because they started talking about violence and abortion clinics and somehow trying to tie my joke into it. And then I was like, to me, even just watching it, knowing a joke's coming from somebody else in 5 seconds, I want to turn it off. Like, I couldn't. It was hard to. Yeah, to hear Lara Trump's voice or Pam Bondi's voice, like, for more than 4 seconds makes you want to turn it off, So I was trying to.
Is her name Lara or Laura?
I pronounce it Lara because that's the least attractive way to say it. It's Lara. Lara. So,
I like that it's a choice.
It might be Lara. There's no U in it. U makes it Laura.
Okay.
And so it's just Lara, which is Lara. It's kind of like Russian or Slavic, I think. And but you could also say Lara like that. I invite you to.
Lara. Mm-hmm. It's gross. It does not. It's a very much one of those words where you're like, Lara. That's a very moist. It's a very uncomfortable word. Yeah.
To our many Laras that listen, you're a Lara. You're
Laura's
a Lara.
Good. Laura's not
good. Laura is an Laura.
Okay.
Lara, Lara. I'm saying Lara Trump only is pronounced Lara.
Right. Can we call her Larry? Would that be diminutive enough? Would that be enough?
Sure.
A little poke in the eye? Sure, what the heck? I don't know. But I thought that it was very funny. Did you cut it? Did you essentially cut it into the chunks where the joke at like the power joke in 30-second chunks?
I guess so. Yeah. I guess so. I don't know. I just grabbed what I thought.
I've been trying to figure out how to monetize my YouTube. There's $64 that Google really wants to give me, you guys. And I've submitted so many tax forms and they don't like any of them. And I don't know how to make it so. Oh, and by the way, 800 Pound Gorilla is going to put out Horcrux because Horcrux isn't on Pandora. And it is definitely not on Spotify.
Yes, you have said this for the last 3 podcasts, but say it again because people need to know.
Right, and people are buying it off of my website, which is good.
That's cool.
You could buy the CD, you could buy the DVD. But 800 Pound Gorilla is going to put the DVD, the video, on their website. And I was wondering why they were putting it off. I guess I had to okay something. So, all right, there you go.
I got some money from Corset, but it wasn't much. Some serious money.
Did you? So did you look at the breakdown? And
I did. Here's what I got from Corset only.
Okay.
Did I wait? Sorry. Sorry. That's not much.
That'd be great. I have not gotten that.
Yeah, but I mean, this is supposed to be the catch-up month from October.
Yeah,
that's not a catch-up month.
No, mine was lower than it's been in years. Quite honestly, I got a total
Jackie,
of this.
Do these people play female comics? Do they? I mean,
I don't know.
I realize that all the comics, I'm like, oh, this person makes $10,000 a month passive income. I'm like, oh, they're all guys.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I don't know what happened because it should have been better.
So that was your total for all your albums?
Yep.
Mine was close to that.
And I have 5 albums.
Yeah.
So things are going well, is what I'm saying. And but I will, the journey continues. So
I mean, I'm hoping that the album sales whenever we get that. Well, supposedly that's in September. Maybe that's the unexpected huge wad of cash I'm waiting for. Is that the
cash cow? And
I don't know.
Well, and there's this suit. The reason they took everything off of Spotify is because musicians, obviously, just to explain it again, musicians get money for performing. They get money for writing the lyrics, and then there's also publishing money. So if they do that with stand-up comedy, we would get paid twice because we perform it and we write it.
And a lot of Dolly Parton gets paid twice. A lot of musicians get paid twice. Dolly Parton gets paid when other people sing her shit. Then she gets paid once. So there's no reason we shouldn't be paid twice.
Right. So this is which is why they've taken a lot of stand-up off of Spotify, and why they're not accepting new albums. So. But hopefully it gets resolved. And then there's does that mean that there's a backlog of cash? Like, would there be a backlog of giant bag of money? Or would it be sort of grandfathered in and they would start where it began? We can't know. We can't know. It turns out it's a legal conundrum that we can't know.
I mean, they have the money. They have $100 million for Joe Rogan. Are they out of money now?
I guess they might be out of money now.
Maybe they're out of money. I don't know. But yeah. They had it, at least.
Sure.
For a while.
They did. Yep. And I still haven't seen Doctor Strange. Let me to change the subject entirely until you.
I wanted to ask you, but I wasn't letting myself.
And you didn't want to open the wound. You didn't want to open the wound. So.
Are you watching Better Call Saul?
No, not ever. Because Breaking Bad was so depressing. I watched the first 3 seasons, and literally at the end of the 3rd season, I think was when his girlfriend got crushed by the ATM machine, and I was like, "This is never going to get better. These people are not going to sober up. Their lives are not going to. There's not going to be love. It's not going to work out. And guess who doesn't need that? Because I already know people who are making terrible life choices. I can't possibly watch it." So I know that it's very well done, though. That's what I do. I'd rather act in it, and quite honestly, I'd rather die. I used to joke about how I'd rather die by means of the movie Open Water than watch the movie Open Water. I got a laugh from Kyle. I'm gonna take it.
Yep.
So upsetting.
Yep.
It was upsetting. Anyway, Better Call Saul. I bet you it's great though, and that guy knows how to Odenkirk. That guy knows how to act.
It's another guy our age.
Yeah,
I've been satisfied. Yeah, Mark Maron. I mean, are we ever going to get to the point where we can go, well, I'd like to spread my wings a little bit, or we're still just trying to fly out of our fucking nest, you know? We're not even in the air trying to spread our wings yet.
I was talking to Laura House very briefly before my life sort of blew up about writing a cartoon based on Spooky Reading Girl.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't done anything with it. All I've done is this. I've said that sentence out loud. Maybe that'll start it. You know what? I want to do more voiceover work.
There's
a vision board.
Yes. It's hard to do something by yourself.
Yeah.
Without anyone asking for it, you know?
Right.
The only reason I'm almost at a pitching point on a sitcom idea is I'm doing it with somebody else. Yep. And every time I'm like down, he's like, he'll go, no, let's try this. And so we're almost, when I get back from this vacation, I guess we'll do it. But like, it's really hard to do by yourself when you're like, I've written 2 books, or 3 books actually, if you count Sherry Shepard's memoir. But I had money in the bank at the beginning of writing it, and I had a due date where the rest of the money would be, and people were expecting it, and they would say, "Can you send us what you have so we can look at it?" So there was some kind of accountability, and there was some kind of income, and it's hard to do it when you're like, no one wants this, no one cares if I don't do it,
right?
And when it's I don't know,
right.
What?
Yeah, because it's
relating
hard
to all
be,
these words too much.
Yeah, self-motivating without some sort of carrot, right? Sometimes it just feels like all stick, and you're like, but it isn't. But it's like podcasts themselves, where you have to do it because you want to do it. You know, it's like stand-up itself, where you have to do it because you want to do it.
A solo podcast, those tend to go. People tend to not stick with them, right? I mean, there's not a lot of solo podcasts. Jen, yeah, although hers is behind a paywall now. But yeah, it's very uncommon. It's hard to keep. Well, I don't know. Even a podcast, you can see some income or some Patreon income or something. But yeah, it's really hard to write something from scratch without anyone wanting it.
Right, right. But but I got a buddy who all he does is write, and he used to do stand-up, and he was a great stand-up.
Who? Write the name.
Oh, you don't know him. He's great. I wish.
How do you know I don't know him? I know, I've heard of people. Yes, I know him.
You know him?
Yes.
Oh, he's great. He was such a great stand-up and such a weirdo. And he's writing novels. He's writing movies. He's writing.
Has he sold them?
No.
Oh.
But he does. But he does submit. I think he does have a literary agent. But we were supposed to have. In the last month we were going to have dinner, and we haven't had dinner. But
that's good. I mean, there's a lot of Omicron out there, Jackie.
I know. I had to go today to the Tulare County courthouse and
Tulare.
Sorry.
Tulare Trump courthouse.
Right, and the comic book store in Visalia. Not a mask to be seen, but we wore them, Chris and I, and
I'm still almost the only one at comedy clubs wearing a mask. Oh, and then I was at a show a couple nights ago, and I was just hanging outside, and a comic goes, "Oh yeah, you got that thing, so I understand you're being more careful." And I'm like, "What do you mean, what thing? I don't know what thing, but I have mentioned on this podcast that I don't want COVID because it causes blood clots. But I'm not immunocompromised as far as I know."
You know what thing you have? The thing you have is you have a dead mom who died of this disease. That's the thing that you have that makes you go, "Guess what? I don't want, asshole."
Jackie, what if I was just coming out of a coma and those are the first words I heard from you?
I know, Here's what happened. I just John Mulaney'd myself. It wasn't particularly sensitive. You're right. And is that an hour? How are we doing here, Kyle?
We got about a minute left.
Good. I'll just tell all these comics out there not wearing masks. You fuckers don't have health insurance. I know you don't because you barely have a pair of clean pants on. Who do you think will take care of you if you get long COVID? And you can get long COVID from mild COVID. Okay? Please just fucking wear a mask until you get on stage and put it back on when you get off stage. Just do it for as long as you need to, because who's going to take care of you? Jackie, you think Kaiser's going to give a shit if you have symptoms that they can't diagnose because they don't believe in Lyme disease, or they don't believe in any sort of chronic fatigue? If they can't measure it, they don't believe it. They're not going to help you.
Yeah, that's right. Kaiser. I go to Kaiser Roll. That's the name of my insurance company, Kaiser Roll.
But I mean, they're good, but there's no one's going to cover long COVID. If you just look at the hashtag and listen to people's stories, that's a lot of people that were formerly healthy who are so fatigued they can barely do their job. So now you can't do comedy, and who's going to help you? Right. Your girlfriend's going to leave you. I'm talking to male comics only, of course, now. Female comics are a little smarter. Girlfriend's gone. She doesn't want a fatigued comic.
Yeah. She doesn't want sex with the Magi. Nobody wants that. You got to be in love. Anyway.
Please, guys.
End this.